Democratic President Joe Biden and his Republican rival Donald Trump went head-to-head, offering voters a rare side-by-side comparison of the two oldest candidates ever to seek the U.S. presidency. Both candidates have faced questions about their fitness for the job, and the leading question going into the debate was how they would handle themselves on stage. Early on, Trump, 78, seemed to have the upper hand, appearing forceful and energetic. In contrast, the 81-year-old Biden spoke with a hoarse, halting voice and coughed regularly. The White House clarified that the president was suffering from a cold. Despite a rocky start, Biden began to find his footing as the debate progressed, particularly when he attacked Trump's character. "The idea that I would apologize to you?" Biden asked incredulously after Trump accused him of mistreating veterans. At one point, Biden bluntly told Trump, "You're the sucker. You're the loser." The tension between the two was palpable from the beginning, marked by their decision to forego the traditional handshake. Throughout the debate, Biden frequently referred to Trump as "this guy" and chuckled at some of his opponent's more hyperbolic statements. The issue of inflation, a primary concern for voters, saw both candidates pointing fingers. Biden accused Trump of leaving him a terrible economy, while Trump countered that Biden's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic was a disaster and blamed it for the economic downturn. "Everything was rocking good," Trump said, lamenting that the pandemic derailed his shot at re-election. Polls indicate that voters currently favor Trump's handling of the economy over Biden's. Biden's challenge during the debate was to convince viewers that his administration had successfully navigated the country out of the pandemic-induced economic hole. "There was no inflation when I became president," Biden said, arguing that the economy had been flat on its back. However, Biden had a few stumbling moments. When discussing the national debt, he referred to billionaires as trillionaires before correcting himself. He also struggled to complete his thoughts on tax reform, eventually pausing awkwardly and concluding with a confusing statement. "We finally beat Medicare," he said, likely intending to refer to COVID-19. Trump seized the opportunity, quipping, "He's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death." During the presidential debate, the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war took center stage as President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump presented their strategies for handling the conflict. Trump has pledged to end the Ukraine war if re-elected, though he has not provided specific details on his plan. Historically, Trump has described NATO as obsolete and has aligned himself with Russian President Vladimir Putin, praising him and siding with him over the U.S. intelligence community regarding Russia's interference in the 2016 election. If we had a real president who was respected by Putin, Ukraine wouldn't be attacked. He, Biden, was so bad with Afghanistan that when Putin watched that embarrassment, he said, "That's it." He never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. When asked if Putin's peace terms were acceptable, Trump responded, "No, they're not. Zelensky comes to this country and walks away with $60 billion. He's the best salesman ever. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky being president-elect before I take office." In contrast, President Joe Biden emphasized the nature of U.S. support for Ukraine, stating, "We're giving them weapons, not money at this point." The Biden administration recently announced a new $400 million military aid package to Ukraine, continuing its steady support as the conflict with Russia extends beyond 2 years. Biden dismissed Trump's claims, stating he's never heard so much foolishness after Trump claimed he would resolve the war in Ukraine before taking office on January 20th, if he wins the upcoming presidential election. "You want to have a war? Just like Putin, go ahead and take Kiev. Make sure that you move on and look at Poland and Hungary and other places around that border. Then you have a war. Russia took a lot of land from Bush, Obama, and Biden. They took nothing, no land from Trump. Putin knew not to play games with me. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games with me. But now, he is going to take the whole thing from this man right here. This war should be never started with me. The announcement of additional military aid came as Russian President Vladimir Putin reiterated the Kremlin's peace plan, which demands Ukrainian troop withdrawal from 4 contested regions: Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia, and for Kyiv to abandon its NATO aspirations. While Russian forces have made modest gains in Donetsk and Luhansk, they remain far from fully occupying all 4 regions. A recent 2-day summit in Switzerland aimed at ending the war concluded without a joint communiqué, despite over 80 countries and international organizations attending. Notably, key BRICS members like India, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and the UAE attended, but did not sign the agreement. The debate over handling the Ukraine conflict and relations with Russia is a critical issue in the upcoming election, underscoring the significant differences in foreign policy approaches between Biden and Trump. Trump accused Biden of mishandling the situation in Gaza, claiming that Israel would never have faced Hamas aggression during his presidency due to his policies towards Iran. He criticized Biden's approach, suggesting that Israel desires to continue military operations, contrary to Biden's assertions. Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. Biden defended his administration's support for Israel, emphasizing the supply of military aid while condemning Hamas for prolonging the conflict. However, he stumbled when discussing casualties in recent Middle Eastern conflicts, inadvertently downplaying a young girl's serious injury in an Iranian attack on Israel. We are providing Israel with all the weapons they need. Hamas has been greatly weakened, and they should be eliminated. But you have got to be careful about using large bombs in populated areas. The debate veered into Trump's stance on Palestinian statehood, where he hesitated to express support, citing financial concerns and pivoting towards criticism of NATO spending. Biden seized the moment to remind voters of Trump's controversial remarks following the Charlottesville rally, accusing him of condoning white supremacy. I'd have to see. The problem we have is that they have all the money. Trump countered President Joe Biden's assertion that Israel seeks an end to the Gaza conflict. Trump claimed the opposite, stating, "Israel is the one who wants to keep going," and criticizing any suggestion to restrain them. Israel is the one who wants to keep going. They should not be held back from doing so. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a bad one. As the debate drew to a close, Trump intensified his critique of Biden's foreign policy decisions, linking them to unrest, both domestically and abroad. He repeated claims that Biden's actions have emboldened groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, while Biden faced scrutiny for unclear responses during the debate. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville, this is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you.